Hello, history explorers. You think you know the story of Christopher Columbus, right? The brave explorer who found America in 1492. But the truth behind this historical figure, celebrated for discovering America, is far more complex and controversial than what many school books suggest. Today, we will look closely at this story. Why does this matter? Well, understanding history means understanding our world today. When we learn the real stories, not just the simple ones, we learn to think better. We learn to see things from many sides. This helps us understand people and events around us right now. So, let's learn the real story together. Many people believe that Christopher Columbus discovered America. But this idea is not correct. First, many millions of people already lived in the Americas. They were there for thousands of years before Columbus arrived. They had their own homes, their own cultures, and their own lives. You cannot discover a place where people already live. Imagine someone coming into your house and saying, "I discovered your house." That would not be right, would it? Also, Columbus never even reached North America. He did not step foot on the land that is now the United States or Canada. His ships landed in the Caribbean islands. These islands are places like the Bahamas, Cuba, and Hispaniola. Today, Hispaniola is Haiti and the Dominican Republic. He also explored parts of Central and South America. So, he was in the Americas, but not North America. This is an important difference. And Columbus was not the first European to come to the Americas. Other Europeans came here many centuries before him. About 500 years before Columbus, a Viking explorer named Leif Erikson sailed from Europe to North America. He landed in what is now Canada. So, even if we only talk about Europeans, Columbus was not the first. This shows that the story is much older and bigger than just one man. Columbus was not a true discoverer in many ways. Now, let's talk about another common idea. Many people believe that Columbus wanted to prove the earth was round. They think that before him, everyone thought the earth was flat. But this is not true. By 1492, most educated people in Europe already knew the earth was round. This idea was not new. Smart people from ancient Greece had shown that the earth was round over 2,000 years before Columbus. So, Columbus did not try to prove the world was round. He wanted to find a new sailing route to Asia. He thought he could sail west across the ocean and reach Asia more quickly. He believed the earth was round, yes, but this was a common belief. His mistake was that he thought the earth was much smaller than it truly is. He thought Asia was much closer. So his plan was very risky, not because he believed the earth was round, but because he completely guessed the distance wrong. He was very brave to sail into unknown waters, but his idea of the distance was not correct at all. Why did Columbus want to make this dangerous trip? What was his big motivation? It was not just for glory or for discovery. Columbus wanted a lot of money and a lot of power. He made a very good deal with the King and Queen of Spain. Their names were King Ferdinand II and Queen Isabella. This deal was called the Capitulations of Santa Fe. This contract gave Columbus huge benefits. It said he would be the admiral, the viceroy, and the governor of any new lands he found. This meant he would have great power over these places. Even more important, the contract said Columbus could keep 10% of all the wealth he found. This included things like pearls, jewels, gold, silver, and spices. Imagine getting 10% of everything from a whole new land. This was a promise of amazing riches. So, while he was a very skilled sailor, his personal goals for wealth and power were a huge part of his motivation. He was looking to become very rich and very important. Now, let's talk about what happened when Columbus and his men arrived. This is a sad and difficult part of the story. When Columbus landed on the island of Hispaniola, he met the Taino people. The Taino were indigenous people who lived there. They were described as friendly and peaceful. They traded with Columbus's men. They gave them jewelry, animals, and food. Columbus wrote in his diary that they were very well built, with very handsome bodies and very good faces. But he also wrote something very telling. They do not carry arms or know them. They should be good servants. Sadly, Columbus quickly started to enslave the Taino people. He forced them to work for him. He made them search for gold. If they did not find enough gold, his men would punish them very badly. They would cut off a limb, like an arm or a leg, or even kill them. This was extremely brutal and cruel. The Taino people had never seen such violence. The treatment was terrible. Many Taino people died because of this brutal treatment. Also, the Europeans brought new diseases. The Taino people had no protection against these diseases, like the flu or smallpox. These diseases spread very quickly and killed many, many more people. Within just a few decades, the Taino population was almost completely gone. This was a tragedy. Columbus's arrival led to the destruction of an entire people and their way of life. This is a very important part of his story that many people do not know. Because of his actions, Columbus eventually faced problems, even from the Spanish government. In 1499, news reached the Spanish king and queen about how Columbus was managing the new territories. They heard about the very bad treatment of the indigenous people. But they also heard about the mistreatment of Spanish colonists. Columbus, as governor, was hurting and punishing Spanish people without fair trials. He was even having some people killed. The king and queen heard these reports. They sent an official to Hispaniola to investigate. This official arrested Columbus. Columbus was put in chains and sent back to Spain. It's true that some of his political enemies might have made up some charges against him. But Columbus himself admitted to the king and queen that many of the accusations were true. Because of this, Columbus lost his title as governor. He lost much of his power. This shows that even his own government found his actions too extreme and unacceptable. So, what can we learn from this complex story? Christopher Columbus was a skilled navigator. He sailed across a big, unknown ocean. This took courage. His voyages did create a connection between Europe and the Americas. This connection is called the Columbian Exchange. It led to new plants, animals, and ideas moving between these parts of the world. But it also brought diseases and slavery. His actions had a lasting impact, changing the world forever. It started a new age, but it came at a terrible cost for the indigenous peoples. We can see Columbus as a person with both good and bad parts. He was a product of his time, with all the ambitions and cruelties that existed then. Understanding his full story with all its parts helps us truly understand history. It helps us think about how we treat others and how important it is to respect all people. It shows us that history is never simple. If this deep dive into history sparked your interest, make sure to like this video and subscribe to White Eagle for more historical explorations. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.